In 246 BCE, a 13-year-old boy named Ying Zheng ascended to the throne of the Qin state, one of 7 warring kingdoms, fighting for control of ancient China. Most boys his age were learning to ride horses or study poetry. This boy was already planning his own tomb. From the moment he took power, work began on his final resting place at the northern foot of Mount Li, a site chosen for its perfect feng shui, backed by mountains facing water, and said to hold rich deposits of gold and jade. This was not a small, modest burial site. It was the blueprint for an entire afterlife empire, designed to mirror the Qin capital city of Xianyang, with inner and outer walls, palaces, offices, and everything an emperor would need to govern in death, exactly as he had in life. For the next 3 decades, this site would become the center of one of the largest and most labor-intensive construction projects the ancient world had ever seen. For the first 15 years, construction moved slowly. Ying Zheng was focused on conquering the other 6 states, unifying China under his iron rule. The mausoleum was a background project, a promise of future glory. But everything changed in 221 BCE, when Qin's armies defeated the last rival state, and Ying Zheng declared himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China. With the entire nation under his control, he poured unimaginable resources into his tomb. The scale of the project exploded overnight. Historical records, most notably Sima Qian's records of the Grand Historian, written a century after the emperor's death, state that over 700,000 laborers, convicts, conscripted farmers, prisoners of war, and skilled artisans were sent to Mount Li to work on the mausoleum. To put that number in perspective, that is roughly 8 times the number of workers who built the Great Pyramid of Giza. These men were pulled from every corner of the empire, their lives sacrificed to fulfill one man's eternal ambition. The heart of the entire complex is the underground palace, a sealed chamber deep beneath the towering earthen mound that still looms over the landscape today. Sima Qian's description of this chamber is so vivid and detailed that modern archaeologists have spent decades verifying every line. According to the text, workers dug through 3 layers of underground springs to reach the proper depth, then poured molten copper to strengthen the foundation and hold the emperor's outer coffin. Inside the chamber was filled with rare treasures, gold, jade, bronze artifacts, and replicas of the palaces and administrative halls of the Qin court. This was the Shi, Si Ru Shi Sheng, philosophy treating death as a continuation of life, taken to its most extreme form. The emperor was not just being buried. He was moving his entire government, his wealth, and his authority into the afterlife. But the most stunning details lie in the cosmic design of the chamber. The ceiling was decorated with pearls and gems to represent the sun, moon, and stars, creating a map of the night sky above. The floor was a precise scale model of the Qin Empire, with rivers and oceans made entirely of flowing mercury, mechanically circulated to mimic the natural currents of the Yangtze and Yellow rivers. Modern geological surveys have confirmed extremely high levels of mercury in the soil directly above the tomb chamber, proving that Sima Qian's account was not myth or exaggeration, but factual truth. This mercury landscape served 2 purposes. It symbolized the emperor's control over every inch of his unified empire, even in death, and it acted as a deadly deterrent. Mercury is highly toxic, making the chamber uninhabitable for grave robbers and preserving the treasures inside for centuries. To protect his tomb further, Qin Shi Huang ordered the installation of deadly mechanical traps. Skilled craftsmen built automatic crossbow systems that were triggered by anyone who entered the inner chambers without permission. Any intruder who broke through the doors would be instantly shot down by a hail of arrows, a silent lethal security system designed to guard the emperor's eternal rest. And to ensure that no one alive could reveal the secrets of these traps or the location of the tomb's treasures, the second emperor, Qin Shi, made a horrific decision. After the first emperor's body was placed inside the tomb and the final seals were set, all the artisans and laborers who had built the chamber were locked inside, trapped forever, to keep the mausoleum's secrets safe. It was a brutal, calculated act of paranoia and power, a final sacrifice to the emperor's legacy. Now, we turn to the most famous part of the entire mausoleum complex, the terracotta army, buried nearly a mile east of the main tomb, standing guard for over 2,000 years before being discovered by chance in 1974. To understand why these 8,000 life-sized clay soldiers exist, we have to look at the ancient practice of human sacrifice. Before the Qin Dynasty, royalty and nobles often buried dozens, even hundreds of living servants, soldiers, and concubines with them when they died, a practice called human sacrifice. These sacrifices were meant to serve their master in the afterlife. But Qin Shi Huang rejected full-scale human sacrifice, not out of mercy, but out of practicality and control. He needed his soldiers to conquer and unify China, not die in a tomb. He needed his artisans to build his palaces and his mausoleum, not be buried alive. So he ordered a revolutionary alternative: create an army of clay, stone and wood that could stand guard forever, without aging, without deserting, without dying. Each terracotta warrior was individually crafted, with unique facial features, hairstyles, uniforms, and even armor details that match the real Qin military ranks. Number 2. Soldiers are identical. They stand in precise military formation: infantry, archers, charioteers, and cavalry, organized exactly like a real Qin army, ready to defend their emperor in the afterlife. These figures are not just statues. They are a permanent, immortal fighting force, a physical representation of Qin Shi Huang military might, and his belief that he would continue to rule as a warrior king, even after death. The army was built in large underground pits, with wooden ceilings and walls that were later burned and collapsed, preserving the soldiers in a state of suspended animation, until modern archaeologists began excavations. Today, 3 main pits have been uncovered, holding more than 8,000 soldiers, 400 horses, and over 100 chariots, making it one of the most spectacular archaeological finds in history. The construction of the mausoleum and the terracotta army was divided into 3 distinct phases. The first phase, from 246 BCE to 230 BCE, was the initial planning and foundation work. Workers leveled the land, dug the first trenches, and laid the groundwork for the inner and outer walls that would enclose the complex. The second phase, from 230 BCE to 221 BCE, coincided with the final years of the Unification Wars. The project expanded, with more workers arriving, and the design being revised to match the emperor's growing power. The third and final phase, from 221 BCE to 208 BCE, was the massive push to finish the project after unification. This is when the underground palace was completed, the terracotta army was buried, and the entire complex was landscaped to look like a natural mountain, with trees and grass planted over the tomb mound to hide its true purpose. The project only stopped when rebel armies marched toward the capital, forcing the laborers to be armed and sent to fight, leaving the mausoleum unfinished in some small areas. What makes this mausoleum so important to history is not just its size or its treasures, but what it reveals about the Qin Dynasty and the birth of imperial China. Qin Shi Huang's reign was defined by centralization, standardization, and absolute control. He standardized writing currency, weights, measures, and even the width of cart axles across his empire. His mausoleum is the physical embodiment of this control, a single unified complex that mirrors the unified nation he created. It is a statement of power that no ruler before him could have imagined. Every stone, every clay soldier, every drop of mercury in those underground rivers is a testament to his ambition to be remembered as the greatest ruler in Chinese history, a man who conquered not just the living world, but the afterlife as well. For centuries, the mausoleum was surrounded by myth and legend. Many people believed it was cursed, haunted by the souls of the workers who died building it, or protected by magical forces. Grave robbers tried for centuries to break in, but the high mercury levels, the collapsed chambers, and the lack of clear maps kept them out. Even today, the main underground palace has never been fully excavated. Archaeologists and Chinese cultural authorities have decided to leave it sealed to protect the artifacts inside from damage, and to preserve the site for future generations with better technology. We know more about the moon than we do about the exact interior of Qin Shi Huang's tomb, and that mystery only adds to its allure. The terracotta army, once hidden and forgotten, has become a global symbol of ancient Chinese civilization. Millions of visitors travel to Xi, and every year, to stand before these silent soldiers, marvel at their craftsmanship, and imagine the empire that created them. They are more than just artifacts. They are a bridge between the modern world and the age of the first emperor, a reminder of the power, the cruelty, and the genius of a man who changed China forever. The mausoleum itself remains a silent giant, holding its secrets close, a puzzle that we may never fully solve. When we look at the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang and its terracotta army, we are not just looking at a tomb. We are looking at the culmination of a lifetime of ambition, a masterpiece of ancient engineering, and a dark reflection of human desire for immortality. It is a story of power, sacrifice, and obsession, a story that began with a 13-year-old king and ended with an underground empire that has outlasted dynasties, wars, and centuries. It is a story that reminds us that some historical wonders are not just built with stone and clay, but with the blood, sweat, and dreams of an entire civilization. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient China, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic history. See you next time.